ein Reich, ein Führer, ein Volk. All of this made possible through Helvetica in the Alps, who financed the Nazis to make place, and where all the NGOs are and all the money is, through the Swiss Nazi Templar banks. That's why it says Helvetia by night. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody sees anything. Helvetia by night. Here, look at the SS sign here, deliberately taking away the eye. The eye in the sky, yeah, the all-seeing eye. And that's why the Swiss Nazi Templars forced the German people to say Heil Hitler! Hail Hitler! Which most Germans didn't like at all. But hey, concentration camps waiting for not doing it. So Heil definitely refers to Hel, the goddess, related to the German word heilen, to heal. Well, heal, hell, you get it? Like I heal you from this life and send you to hell. Or heal the community by sending an evil man straight to hell. As they still did with, like for instance, with pedophiles in the good old days and the rest of them. Helvetica, the whore of Babylon, with whom all nations traded. A true seed of evil, through very dark practices and clean, neutral innocence, hidden as usual in fine Switzerland, as in the meaning hell for hidden. And look here, you can see all the squares. The whole thing is in a circle, which is a compass. So they all read square and compass, yeah. And you got every time 4 lines, you know, like here 4 lines, here 4 lines, and here 4 lines, 4 times. So here are 4 horizontal lines here as well. For the horizontal rule, yeah, by the Knights Templars, and here are 4 vertical lines, just as here, and these ones also 4. And this is through the concept of 3, the circle. And here it says Helvetica, the goddess of the north and the goddess of the south, Vetica, all emerging a synergy, all into one. And this is what we see today. Look, the whore of Babylon in the Alps, they even have reptilian money, as I showed you here in my older channel Gatefrat. I had a lot more as in my channel Giureh, but it has been taken off. Like there was a 10 Swiss franc note in which they already showed the Nibiru constellation before it was even discovered. Nibiru or something. So I tried to contact the anthropologist, wanting to tell him about the vortex opening up, the visions I saw, sparked by those 3 single historical images, and all linked to the Swiss beast, home of the devil, Helvetica, or here Helvetia, same thing. Alas, very unfortunately, no email to find and only waving the money box around. Hopefully not going to sell goddess pills like Alex Jones, which I find a pity, really. Myself believing that YouTube is about teaming up and communicating. Even answering the dumbest question by the lowest, so to speak. And I promise you, I'll never step on the pedestal or trying to egoistically save my own soul. For I'm just there to serve you and the uncertain future of our children and crush this evil pile of Middle Eastern pharaonic camel shit once and for all and bring the wolves back, both for real and metaphorically speaking, and just as real, out of the virtual into the 3D. So stand up, you garden gnomes of Helvetica, and stop serving the whore of Babylon with her gold pyramid of the Alps in the background, by your Swiss army knife representing the Knights Templars in your belt, and the Vatican key as in their flag also in your belt, with a crown on your head, thinking you're the line and patriarchy. And for your grandma having loads of garden gnomes in her garden saying, "Oh, they all work for me." They don't know it. Hello, all you good people. In this video here, I'll have to be extremely careful because of the thought police and the fucktube censorship Nazis. So I'll even have to find new words as pronouncing the old words. It will bring someone a lot of problems, as the enemy within has forbidden the use of certain words, which only the newspapers and the TV are allowed to use. Merely in conjunction with their agenda, of course, which they are massively trying to shove down our throats, if not, or else. And all of this is as usual related to Switzerland, of which I will give you all the facts and names of persons and organizations conspiring against humanity. They openly call for murder and they openly incite for genocide, only to turn it all around afterwards as the aggressors slipping into the victim's role as another attack strategy by having us all believe they're so terribly discriminated, shedding their crocodile tears out, changing laws very much in the disadvantage of our children, because they're everywhere now, on all government positions as police, judiciary, newspapers, state TV, school, SS, social services, because their masters of the Swiss Knights Templars share the same sexual orientation by all these guys in the Cistercian Templar monasteries, just all alone with each other, and a lot of monks robed to lift for a quickie on God's altar. Therefore, so many priests doing it with children, turning them over to the other side, which apparently works like drugs. If you've tried it once, you're hooked forever, like in the Freemason hook for the square. Hooked, squared, rounded up. All Freemason words by the Templars, and referring to the square and compass, their holy tools to draw a pyramid. And as I'm entirely pink-listed in my efforts to protect our children and to warn humanity from their next Nazi genocide on the man and their fathers, sons and brothers, through World War III being in the Templar mold, I call them the pink list killers, for the obvious legal and Nazi fucktube reasons, as I'm pink listed by this Templar offspring for the goddess in the Alps, all massively ringing the fucktube bell, shouting hate speech, whereas in fact it's they themselves inciting for genocide on the man. So honestly, adding it all up into the word pink list killers, because I'm apparently on the very organized pink list and they want to kill me, which is their agenda because I'm a man. Therefore, the pink list killers are massively joining ultra right-wing organizations to genocide the man again, which they call killing the patriarchy, where in fact there is no patriarchy and there never has been either. Most men just love their wives, mothers, sisters and daughters, even the so-called patriarchal Arabs, Muslims and the jaywalkers. Most men are stupid enough willing to die for their women in protection of them, as they got themselves trapped into Pharaoh's war propaganda by Leni Riefenstahl, the queen and the goddess. There never has been any patriarchy, but there definitely is a matriarchy, who openly say, let's go and kill the man and reshape their sons through the goddess her model of the Horus Matrix. So the murderous pink list killers and their hate speech inciting murder and bloodshed massively join right-wing parties and neo-Nazis, paramilitaries, like the second-in-command of the French right-wing Front National, Florian Philippot, openly doing the bloke's back mounting, saying to his fellow conspirators, let's kill all the Muslims because Islam forbids pink listing. So when Frenchy voted in 2017, Frenchy had the choice between two pink list killers, Philippot of the Front National and Macron, who already started killing the French and giving them all the all-seeing eye with Swiss weapons by Brugger and Thomet and their LBD-40s for the yellow vests. Templar guns from the motherland of the Knights Templars, huge pink list killers themselves. Then in 2002 there was another extreme right-wing pink list killer who wanted to get rid of the Muslims because of Islam not complying with his sexual orientation. His name was Pim Fortuyn, I hope I pronounced it right, who had his own racistically motivated ultra-right-wing party in the Netherlands, on which another cloggy recognized the Nazi danger and resemblance to the Nazis. So he bought himself a peace and terminated the rise of the new Hitler, an imminent danger to his country, as he stated it. Now, the worst of it all is yet to come, and it is deeply related to Swaziland and motherland of the goddess Confederatio Helvetican, and it's happening right now. Last year, in 2019, the German extreme right-wing party AfD, or Alternative for Germany, had a tremendous voting success, and their leader, as in Führer, is a she-male pink lister killer by the name of Alice Weidel, living together with another she-male and two children they probably bought in the internet. Sort of Alice in Wonderland story, according to newspapers. They were living in the very liberal left-wing town of Biel in Switzerland, and recently they moved to the super right-wing canton of Schwyz, also in Swaziland. Because that's what the pink list killers do. First, and for decades, they have themselves protected by the left-wing liberals in order to get accepted by us all. In fact, betraying all the true values of the left-wing liberals. And when that's done and goal achieved, they move over to the extreme right wing to attack us all, and especially towards the Muslim man at the moment in general, and also against all the men, as in their violence incitements like kill the patriarchy. Alice Weidel gets financed by the Swiss and their Octagon Templar Nazis, just as during the Hitler era, therefore living in Switzerland, literally being the motherland of the goddess and getting full protection by Swissy, because in Germany it would be a lot more difficult to be protected from the Antifa. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Can you imagine that when factually already the new Nazi Führer are Nazi pink list killers, then how many pink list killers there are amongst their followers? And I met many pink list killers in Germany and France when many years ago I infiltrated neo-Nazi groups all over Europe, which finally led me into the octagon of the Nazi Templars of Switzerland, the base of it all. I heard in those days the Nazi pink list killers even say, "We are not very brave, but we are many." And this is the true essence of the Templars' evil, against which the King of France tried to save us. And the brave French king perfectly well understood the occult roots of it all, and where you end up when leading it all back, which I show you furthermore in these older videos here on my channel G.I.U.R.E.H. And here, the neutral base of the master race, also in G.I.U.R.E.H, showing the occult roots by the images. This is why the origins of the very word of it all comes from the two words Eve and ill. Eve, ill, evil. So it started all with Eve and the snake on Pharaoh's forehead. And this is where we are today. Eve saying, kill the patriarchy. Eve, ill, evil. Thus coming back to the goddesses like Helvetica or Hel Vatican, or River Thames from Thames called La Thamise in French, a reference to the goddess Thames or Themesis, which is a word combination of Thames and Isis. Isis, Themesis. Therefore, the Thames becoming River Isis. Exactly there where the elite University of Oxford is, where today's pharaohs do the annual Oxford-Cambridge boat race, feeling themselves back home at River Nile. With this year's 2020 teams like Blondie versus Osiris and Goldie versus Isis. Might as well call it boat race on River Nile under the eye of the Shardana. Yeah, look here it says Oxford 2020, Cambridge, the races here. Look, they even have a website. Go check it out, eh? Go visit Osiris and Isis, eh? And you still think, you know, we are not their slaves. I'd like you to look first at the Freemason checkerboard configuration, black and white here, of the squares, like in the square and compass. And the Freemasons, they come out of the Knights Templars. And we all know what they mean with slay, eh? We all know that. This is not a Father Christmas fairy tale here, eh? This is real, and it's very bad. So we got ourselves a situation now here, where the real organized Nazis and their occult evil and their Templar origins can talk freely and openly say, let's kill the real men and make soy boys out of them. Whereas young, misled, manipulated little skinheads go to prison for repeating the same things, the occult Nazi leaders teach them in order to sow anger into their hearts. It's a classic Tavistock setup, folks, to gear up for war. Anyway, I'd say freedom of speech for the misled little neo-Nazis, so we know what they're up to and what's cooking, instead of compulsory hiding in the dark, so the secret organizations can get hold of them, because then they're both in the secret. You get me? So listen up, J people or J tribe. You don't do yourself nor us a favor with this by persecuting them stupid little misled neo-Nazis, by raping their freedom to express themselves, as if we were living under the Inquisition in the Middle Ages. Now, let me wake you up. This is the 21st century that offers a whole range of intellectual solutions, like what I do, talking to them as a father, because they definitely need help with their problems before they'll become our problems again. With your dumb hate speech Nazi censorship, you think that you're treating the disease, whereas you just lower the fever and its temperature momentarily, while the disease is growing bigger because you don't see it anymore, because the fever is gone. While beneath the surface, the disease is augmenting even more rapidly, as in stirred up through Nazi censorship provocation. Let me explain that to you in other words. Hate speech censorship is just symptom treatment, as lowering the fever, collecting some visual results, that it is dangerously counterproductive, leaving a bad diagnosis for not knowing what's growing underneath. And if we refuse to understand this, then these kids will turn their problems into our problems, and history will repeat itself. I, Sean Ross, have changed thousands of little neo-Nazis by neutralizing them, as in the army neutralizing a bomb. And it is a bomb. Go watch this film here. It's important to understand the mechanics. Let me tell you, J-Tribe, Pharaoh doesn't want us to help these lost souls, because then the elite won't be able to use them anymore for their evil projects, you see? And don't you J-boys think that you'll be off Pharaoh's objectives, because you're still on the radar and in Pharaoh's crosshairs. Gee, I don't know how to call you J-boys anymore either, because as soon as you use the J word, the censorship machine of FOCTube will delete the video, even if you make a video in favor of the J-Tribe, as I do. I'm really terribly sorry to use these words, because I have no problems with you J-boys, but the current dictatorship leaves me no choice, and I desperately beg for understanding from your side. I think I'll call you jaywalkers from now on, as in jaywalking and not respecting the traffic laws, in this case for not respecting the communication traffic with free speech traffic laws in the rabbit hole. I learned the word jaywalking here with Bao, getting harassed for nothing by the internal Blue Templar Army. But I will write it J-W-A-L-K-E-R as a reference to the J people, with whom I have no problems, on the contrary, but who wrongfully believe that the solution is a final one from the Dark Ages concerning the censorship. And honestly, I wish it was different and I could address you by your real name, which you also deserve. But we all have to protect ourselves these days from this witch hunt, censorship, inquisition. So I beg you jaywalkers for understanding. You don't leave us much choices, do you now? So here we are in the 21st century, and a lot of good people here at my channels who want peace and justice, only finding themselves cut short through a medieval censorship witch hunt. What a fucking progress. Written with PH, of course, for the censorship. Fuck, that is, and not with an F. I'm going to give you some more intel how nasty it's all getting, where Nazi Templar pink list killers like Renaud Camus and even jaywalkers like the French Alain Finkielkraut, you read the name here, he's a jaywalker, and the other French jaywalker Eric Zemmour are teaming up in a not very kosher alliance with neo-Nazis like Brenton Tarrant, an extremely vicious circle protected through the hate speech concealment tactics of the FOCTube Nazis. As it has come out now that the mosque events of New Zealand of 2019 were precedented by the shooter's visit to France in 2017, where he met up with the conspirators behind the scene who also financed him, in the castle of the very dangerous pink list killer Renaud Camus, who wrote the book G.I.U.R.E.H by the title's initials, which apparently I am not allowed to pronounce. Only the newspapers are allowed to pronounce it. Here you can see the initials of that word. In a remote Templar area where just a few clicks away from Château de Plieux, I visited in 2019 the Templars Tower of Giureh. Here you can see this, Giureh, and here it says Tour de Templier, the Tower of the Templars, and this is the name of the film where you can see that, which is right next to that castle of the pink list killer, related to the Christchurch or I can't even say that, the events in New Zealand. So here you can see the castle of the bloke. That's where the Brenton Terrans was, without any doubt. It's a Templars area, and here I was in the Tower of Giureh. It's about 7 clicks away. So here you can see another screenshot, Château de Plieux. The other one is like, you know, just right next to it. Here is Agen, Montauban. And here I visited some more Templars castles, commanderies, and it's a Templars area. Nazi Templars, right? So in that same area, real next to that castle where the guy from New Zealand went to, really near. I filmed this very impressive Templars castle. Here some commanderies, and this is that castle, real like 7 clicks away. And this film here are the titles underneath. Okay, so if you want to see that. So here you can see that again, Giureh. I did a lot of filming there, a lot of castles, real Templars castle, and amazing footage with Templars crosses and all that. Next to where the real in the same area where the guy from New Zealand, where he met up with the Nazi pink list killer or killers. This is Nazi Templars, folks. Watch my film, The Swiss Beast, Home of the Devil. This is Octagon. Octagon is behind it. There's no, and I made a film about it, which FuckTube immediately deleted. Again, I'm terribly sorry for not being able to call things by its name, as I already had several videos deleted and striked only for mentioning the events of New Zealand of 2019 by the upholders of the agenda. So I guess it's okay when I show the newspaper articles to reveal certain words I am not allowed to pronounce. So FuckTube can pass the responsibility on to the various newspapers instead of harassing the little man and tiny YouTuber with a voice. So here again, we can see how dumb and young neo-Nazis get manipulated by extremely sly and highly intelligent people in order to have the dumb white neo-Nazis do what the puppet masters desire and don't want to do themselves. Therefore, in my eyes, the perpetrator, being also a victim of this occult machinery, just as small little brainwashed German children of the Hitler Youth were. So in my eyes, the only solution to the rapidly growing threat is to accept little dumb misled neo-Nazis as victims and help them, before the other ones in their castles come and help them. And we shouldn't help them because we like them, but rather because we love ourselves and our children. And this is exactly what I warned you for about the Nazism of the rich and the Nazism of the poor in my video, The Swiss Beast, Home of the Devil. And remember that it is a fact that the vast majority, a staggering 69% of the world's serial killers were pink listers, who have all obstacles removed through political correctness, defended by hate speech against any possible opposition, and by threatening Google and FuckTube with massive lawsuits, while they themselves massively spread their incitements for violence in total impunity, where the war makers use hate speech as a tool to silence the peacemakers. If you don't understand the words jaywalkers and pink list killers, then watch part 1 first, in which the words are explained, and it's due to the Nazi censorship. So here you can see it, part 1, here's the title, War Makers Use Hate Speech Tool to Silence the Peacemakers. Now, my channels and my videos are for peace amongst all peoples, all religions and all races, and for justice in the world. And it's a joy to see that most comments here under my videos show mutual respect and understanding. And because FuckTube and the enemy within do not like this, FuckTube Nazis delete my videos in my Giureh channel. Because FuckTube protects the war makers as these pink list killers who are openly conspiring for racism, genocide and civil war. With all extreme right-wing leaders being pink list killers and gearing up for war, bloodshed and misery for our children, and viciously attacking the peacemakers who dare to speak against their vicious plans by striking them with hate speech conceived by the FuckTube Nazis, where in fact it's called hate speech because it protects the ones doing the hate speech in their marvelous defense mechanism, so intelligently laid out that only the big chief of all evil must have masterminded it. So hate speech is a protective tool for hate speech by the mafia of evil. And again, I cannot express myself to the full extent as needed, and I cannot pass on all the necessary intel due to the pink list killers' organized mafia breathing into my neck. The evil one turns everything around backwards, as above, so below, and reversed speech, as in hate speech, against peace speech. So you need to read in between the lines, please, where it's written what can't be written because of the international PLK mafia raping all our liberties. I'm so terribly sorry. Because right-wing Nazism is in fact an entirely pink list killer thing, with young and dumb neo-Nazis of the poor being led by true masters of deception as their leaders. I forgot this very important Nazi pink list killer of Austria, who almost became Austria's chancellor, Giureh, as in Heil Haider, the Führer of Austria's FPÖ, Freedom Party Austria, and BZÖ, Alliance for Austria's Future. Well, nicely promising names by the PLK masters of concealment for far more darker objectives by using innocence by name, as in the rape of innocence, in relation to their brotherhood deviances of all kinds. The brotherhood's deviancy of the Cistercian Knights Templars. You see the Templars cross here. Eh? And Dr. Giureh was without any doubt a Freemason, as he was in Nazi student Freemason organizations called the Burschenschaft in German. And his Burschenschaft lodge was called Albia. You can see the Freemason handshake, eh? Well, what better name to choose for a Nazi-like student Freemason lodge? Because Albia means white in Latin. The Burschenschaften lodges are the Nazism for the rich, who become politicians, industrials, lawyers, engineers, doctors, etc. And they are tightly knitted man clubs that still practice fencing, gatherings in castles and Templar commanderies. These Burschenschaften Nazis should be treated very different than some misled skinhead Nazism of the poor. But well, they never talk about them in the media, of course, because they occupy the leading positions and tell the editorial office not to talk about them, to get in the same box of untouchable files with Swaziland. Here you can see the name, Burschenschaften. Ew. There they are. So here I filmed some former Burschenschaften members goose-stepping in 2012. So here's the title of the film, you just punch it in, eh? And in the old days, and apparently some still do today, these dudes all had some self-inflicted fencing scars on their cheeks to impress each other, as in, you dominate me tonight, or shall I dominate you? Which is the essence of the hierarchy, actually, and which comes out of the Knights Templars. Therefore, the pink list killers, whom I will also call PLK now and then, therefore the PLK boys feel so attracted to uniforms and dressing themselves up with badges, insignia and iron crosses to impress each other for the dominating act coming night, being really into BTK, bind, torture, kill, dominating stuff. As the prisoners of Auschwitz concentration camp were in fact BTK victims by these monsters who fabulously conceal their true identities, again by dressing up physically and psychologically. And one of these monsters was Heil Haider, head of the Austrian Nazi Party, living together with another pink list killer called Stefan Petzner, where Petz in his name means the bear in Swiss German. And as the pink list killers are true masters of disguise and deception, Heil Haider had even gotten himself a wife and family to lure the potential voters into the big lie and devious setup. Just as President Macron did. Watch this interview with a former colleague of Macron. Here's the text. Or blondie hair, who even actually paints his nails. And he's the Führer of the actual Dutch Nazi party, who openly supports the PLKs all the time. And I mean, what kind of guy dyes his hair blonde? Eh? Blondie hair also supposedly has a wife, as very likely female cover-up, just as Heil Haider and his wife Claudia. What lying monsters these all are. I mean, if they already lie about their inner lives, giving us an entirely different picture, about what else more do they lie, huh? This guy's name is Geert Wilders. So here you can read his name of blondie here, Geert Wilders. I don't know if I pronounce it right, eh? So, Geert Wilders. And I have my serious doubts about these ones here too. Look, and here it says EDL, it means English Defence League. Look, and here it's again, English Defence League. They're pink list killers. I mean, Tommy Robinson, eh? Look at that. It's the same thing all over, folks. And all these Nazi leaders openly support the pink list killers in their videos and all want a genocide on the Muslims. The latter who are probably the only force left for traditional family values. And forget about the Christians who are too busy turning the other cheek and accepting everything the devil has to offer, merely spending their time by making a seat reservation in paradise. And here you can see a Heil Haider with the other pink list killers. And here on YouTube, the Christians all seem to know who the next who the Antichrist will be, but they all give a different name. So here we can see Heil Haider here, the pink list killer, together with the Pope. Now let me emphasize on your false interpretations and evil accusations which already endured after I said in my Christmas film that Christians, historically seen, are the biggest killers in history. So listen carefully for all you wannabe Inquisition persecutors. I say the way Christianity gets effectuated and the Christians themselves is the problem. Therefore, the whole of Christianity being a disaster and not the doctrine itself. The original Christianity, that of 2000 years ago, is dead, and it's about time to admit it. The best thing would be to put all those religions together and make a new one out of it. A one world religion, and finally have some peace in the world. So here you see the correct spelling of the word Antichrist with an E here and not an I, because it's from the word anterior, the one who comes before. So the Antichrist with an E is not necessarily the bad guy. This is what Hollywood made out of it. And it's not anti, but anti with an E from the word anterior, what comes before. The Antichrist means before Christ, and he's not the devil, who comes in fact later. Well, I mean, if it's all true altogether, all these prophecies. Maybe the prophecy is all based upon lies anyway, just like Heil-Heide and the pink listers and their perfect lies. So here you can see the title of my film here about these two here doing all the Freemason symbols and hand signs. So and here the other ones also doing Freemason hand signs all over the screens and openly accepting the pink list killers. I mean, look at Heil-Heide, Macron, Hitler. This is what they do to lure us in, showing themselves embedded into true family values while being monstrous pink list killers, working hard on their next genocide through lies and deception. Just as the pink list killers were highly involved in this genocide here for the obvious reasons, concerning the conventional standpoint of the orthodox jaywalkers towards the pink list killers and their unholy practices. And Hitler was an Austrian, like Heil-Heide, hiding behind the Eva Braun front, just as Heide hiding behind the wife front of his, or I don't know whose, Claudia Heide, being one of the other reasons for Hitler killing all the leaders of the National Socialists, like Ernst Röhm in the Night of the Long Knives on June 30th, 1934, because they knew of Hitler and his Templar Nazis being pink list killers, which the Workers' Party members didn't see fit for a pure German race. So Hitler needed a final solution on the original German National Socialists and had them killed, replaced, and story turned around that in fact Ernst Röhm was a pink list killer, which is of course a lie, one of the many pink list killer lies by Hitler. So on October the 11th, 2008, Heil-Heide died a violent death, drunken speeding in his fast car, being emotionally upset because of a quarrel with his pink list killer boyfriend Stefan Petzner, and having spent the night in a PLK bar in Klagenfurt together with other pink list killers, while his boyfriend probably went out dancing, as the PLKs like dancing. Just as their PLK leader, the Grofats, whom you see waltzing here. And of course, after the violent death of the Austrian governor, rumors and conspiracies arose quickly that the Jaywalkers' secret service was behind the crash. Because for Nazi Templar PLKs, in the end, the Jaywalkers are still responsible for it all, and for every mishap. Never talking about Switzerland, of course. Another very dangerous pink list killer and of Swiss origin was Mr. Hoover, 50 years director of the FBI, and of Swiss origin by the real name of Huber, here together with his boyfriend Clyde Tolson, as always dressing up together as in a uniform, as the PLKs like that, they like uniforms. Another man who liked to dress up as in an Oriental fashion show was Colonel Gaddafi of Libya, who also had a dislike for Islamists, just as the pink list killer right-wingers, and therefore Gaddafi he spent $45 million on Heil-Heide, plus another $10 million from another fashion show updresser, Saddam Hussein from Iraq, who also had a grudge against Islamists, and all the money, of course, transferred over the Swiss Nazi Templar banks, as the media stated. Heil Heider's boyfriend's sister, Christiane, said that Heil Heider's wife, Claudia, was jealous. And Heil Heider's boyfriend, Stefan Petzner, sobbed at the Heil funeral. He was the man of my life. So very charming. Anyone else wants to join the Nazi party? Well, you better think it over, pal, because now I understand why all these pink list killer Nazis all do the Hitler salute and raise the one arm. So you can't hold your pants properly at the same time. And with only one hand, at the same time giving any given opportunity and the green light by indicating that the hands can't be simultaneously at the same place. Well, homie Hross catching them Nazis with their pants down, so to speak. Anyone who wants to join the Nazi Templars, want to stick your hands up. But watch my videos first before you do so. Unless your wives are not jealous by nature. Anyway, you Nazis, you don't have to stick them up in front of me. Because I don't take any Nazi prisoners, you hear? Hey, Swissy?
The international media call this Swiss guy here the Beast of Rupperswil, as in my film The Swiss Beast, Home of the Devil. The Swiss Beast of Rupperswil, Jack the Rupperswil. I made these videos here about this international Swiss serial killer protected by the Swiss Nazi police. So watch them first, so I won't have to repeat the settings of this miserable Swiss story. The moment in France when I first saw his picture, it rang a bell, that I had seen his face somewhere before, but I couldn't place it at the moment. Then years later my memory and all the historical data caught up with me. Ethnic Swiss Dr. Mengele, the angel of death from Auschwitz. Same smile, same ears, same eyebrows, same skull, same crimes, same cold lack of remorse and absolute absence of conscience nor pity for his victims. The Rupper Beast, his father, was born in 1953 in the north of Switzerland, where also Mengele was in the 50s, 60s and 70s in the north of Switzerland, with Mengele's son Rolf in a super rich boarding school in Swaziland for the young pharaohs. See my film here on Mengele, because I'm not gonna repeat it all in this video here. And if you don't see these other videos here, you will not understand the whole story. These satanic bloodlines of Pharaoh have this evil in their genetic code memory and get initiated by the Brotherhood and also their Swiss Sisters of Isis. Therefore, his lesbian-orientated lawyer, Renate Zen, saying in court that the victims themselves were responsible for their ordeal. As the 13-year-old who got sodomized by the Beast of Rupper before he slit his throat in front of his mother, still riding the kid. Only homos can understand what he did and even minimize this evil, of which they themselves are so passionate about, using every opportunity to get us used to it. As this clean Swiss lawyer with a website made by a lesbian software company called Alphabet Exceed. The her-to-her homo connection have their fingerprints all over this crime. What do you say, Mr. Police Investigator or Mrs. Profiler? This terrible case with a 90% profiler possibility hit is leading to the homo mafia. Just throw the data in your police computer and you'll see what it will calculate. Problem though, the police is full of them too, as the Swiss pink cops, seeing to it that theirs get a full protection. Just as this filthy Swiss story shows of a Swiss cop raping a child and never does a day in prison. Switzerland is full of these stories, and most of them won't make it even into the newspapers. And this is because Switzerland was founded by the Templars. In Switzerland, they only put immigrants and foreigners in prison for nothing. Hierarchy in a police uniform is the essence of sodomy for Adam and Steve within the cops' hierarchy. Steve, honey, you're gonna dominate me tonight?
No, Adam, I want you to dominate me.
Oh,
Yes?
and don't forget to bring your pink handcuffs, darling. You know, the ones I gave you for your birthday. Oh, you naughty, dirty little Swiss police rabbit you are. Hey, Swissy. They're everywhere. Just look at it. The authorities, the police, the army, all carrying guns and weapons. And they pursue just completely other criteria than what people are misled to think. Even here in prison, Thomas Nick the Swiss Beast gets tousled back up by the club by allied female prison guard, even doing private phone calls for her club member. Seeing the level of satanic solidarity amidst the homo mafia and analyzing the complexity of the execution of this crime, calculating all possibilities of what might have gone wrong, attacking 4 people at once. It must therefore be assumed the Rupert Beast was not alone, and it was not his first murder either. In the 6th state of Switzerland, some homicided lawyer can commit the felony of justifying the horrible crimes of the Swiss Beast, which he did in fact. On the other hand, when in the Swiss Nazi dictatorship some ice hockey supporters only say thank you or danke in German, they get arrested and sent to jail, which actually happened because of this. Friedrich Leibacher, whose name stands here, when he was a child, the Swiss Nazi authorities threw him in a mental institution for no reason at all other than being blacklisted and pink-listed by the Swiss Horus Matrix to make obedient Swiss slaves, where they abused of him. So he learned to hate the Swiss authorities for the horrendous crimes they had inflicted on him, still being a child. And he set up a time span, postponing the fulfillment of his plans to a much later date. And he said to himself, when they opened the doors of the boogie house, that he wanted to live first, and therefore had to leave Switzerland to be free. And looked for a place in the world where nobody likes the authorities. Central America. He married and had children in the Dominican Republic. Then in his late 50s saw to it that his children had their future secured, and went back to settle the old score and do the things that cannot be forgotten. He bought himself some goodies, exactly these ones here, these were the ones, and knocked on the door of the nearest authorities. Knock, knock, I'm back. Guess who's back? And he scored a permanent hit on 14 of his tormentors and 14 tangos less of Pharaoh's internal mafia. Hey Swissy, tango down. The connection to evil goes even further, as less than 2 days after the crime of the Swiss Beast, and still in the realm of winter solstice satanic rituals, the Boleskine house of Aleister Crowley burned down on December 23rd, 2015. Just the next day in liberty, fleeing the grip of the Swiss evil. In the Boleskine, many people ended up insane or had a miscarriage. Boleskine, probably from Baal, the devil. The kin of Baal's his worship is, Baal's kin. And the Baal's kin house looks out on the lake, where the monster of Loch Ness lives, as if it were from out of another realm. Maybe the devil's own personal jacuzzi bathtub, the lake of Loch Ness. Once a pharaonic princess came to Scotland and became the Queen of Scotia, therefore the name Scotland. And she brought with her Pharaoh's wizards, the Erevrav, also called Druid. The Druids, and that's why we have Karnak, these stones, like in France, and in Egypt, same name, Karnak. And all black magic, African voodoo, Druids, you name it. It all comes from Pharaoh's Egypt. Here, Aleister Crowley, from a long Egyptian tradition of Druids. Therefore, these guys and the pharaonic bloodline, as this evil seed here, all walk around in skirts, as if it were an ancient fashion show on River Nile. We're being lied to, folks, in this pharaonic fairy tale nightmare of 1001 Nights. Crowley was married to the Swiss Lea Hirsig from the canton of Bern. And they got a child they nicknamed Poupée, meaning the puppet, that died as a puppet 8 months later in 1920 in their temple of Thelema in Sicily, where many people found their end, as the 23-year-old Brit Raoul Loveday in 1923, with many children disappearing in Sicily at the same time. All this evil always has a connection with Pharaoh's base in the Alps, Swaziland. So if you practice Satanism in order to liberate demons for some terrestrial goal, they do the blood ritual first, as on solstice 215 by the Swiss beast in Rupperswil. Then a portal will be opened as the Boleskine or Baal's skin house with the fire from hell. And only then, when that's done, you do the ceremony, as the one just a few months after, on June the 1st, the opening of the St. Gotthard Tunnel, an openly satanic ritual next to the CERN portal. Dear people of this earth, and all religions of this planet, listen carefully. All the holy books are old and need some serious updates, like your computers. They were written in a time without 5G technologies, without airplanes, atomic bombs, transhumanism, and without anti-baby pills. God wants a reset adaptation for the final battle. The sixth commandment, unilateral killing, only by our masters killing us, it doesn't work. So we need to change the rules of engagement and apply section 6b.
A bright commenter on yesterday's Pink List video here noticed that they'd already slain Father Christmas here, as only his head is left, but the man had already been slain. Furthermore, proving the incitement for violence by the Pink List killers on all men, and the definite murder threat nicely and legally camouflaged. It's a weird coincidence that yesterday, February 9th, 2020, when I finished and uploaded my Pink List video, which you can see here, Swissy voted yes in a Swiss referendum accepting a new Pink List killer law, opening up the next witch hunt on humanity, in which Pharaoh can send anyone to prison for a long time who won't accept the Pink List killers and their ways. thus of course giving the Nazi Templars the perfect tool to persecute the Muslims and also the jaywalkers, those of the latter who still follow the old ways, of course. So today, the day after, Pharaoh's propaganda machine couldn't withhold their joy in showing the new Swiss octagon Nazi leader for Germany, Alice Heidel, all over, discussing her new Swiss Nazi goose steppers of the On brand, as if she were some Hollywood star. Oh, they're really pushing it. And that all the Swiss are in favor of a pink list killer marriage, like a nest for creating more little pink list killers Nazis for the Third World War being in the Templar mold. You can see it the day after the referendum, February 10th, 2020. There you go. They're pushing it, eh? Therefore, I call the new Swiss Führer Alice Heidel, with a double S at the end of Alice, and the same initials H for CH18 or C18, a reference to Combat 18. Swissy is celebrating the new Führer all over the Swiss media day one after the referendum, adding up to the proofs how Nazis and pink list killers are all linked up being one and the same thing, as I've proven you yesterday in my film. So now how come the leader of the German Nazi party is living in Switzerland and not in Germany? So once again, Swissy is launching the next attack on Germany and the rest of humanity from out of Switzerland, the base of the Nazi Templars, as in the Swiss beast, home of the devil, in which I explain how Hitler was in Switzerland, his deputy Rudolf Hess even lived there, how Mussolini lived 2 years in Switzerland, where Swissy Nazi Templar trained him, just like Vladimir Lenin 20 years in Switzerland before turning him loose on the Russian people, releasing the Red Terror on them, all made in Switzerland, like the Swiss health minister of the Third Reich, the Dr. Leonardo Conti, torturing millions, nicknamed the Swiss sadist, like the head of the SS Einsatzgruppen, the Swiss SS Standartenführer Karl Jäger, butchering millions, like the ethnic Swiss commandant of Auschwitz, Rudolf Hross, speaking Swiss German in Auschwitz, like the ethnic Swiss SS Himmler, Julius Streicher, Dr. Mengele, Christian Wert, SS Obersturmbannführer, Commandant of Sobibor Camp, Swiss ISIS Abu Musab al-Swissri, Templars, Teutonic Knight, 30-Year War, etc. and so forth, all coming out of Switzerland, attacking humanity, just as today's Alice Heidel, using Switzerland as an aircraft carrier to launch the next attack on Europe, and most of all, the Germans. History repeating itself. Apparently they've run out of ideas. So they tried it first for decades with a, well, let's say, soft approach to seduce us into the new pink list killer manhunt laws, which they're gonna shove down our throats now the hard way through yesterday's new manhunt laws of Switzerland, in conjunction with the new Swiss Nazi Templar star Alice Heidel and her Templar pink list killers. Well, it's not my cup of tea, really. This is Switzerland of the Knights Templars, folks. I warned you, and it's rapidly folding out again. Of course, Swissy is going to use yesterday's new Swiss referendum laws as a tool against the only opposition left in a true manhunt on the Muslims. Just as Swissy launched the assault from out of the motherland against the jaywalker people during World War II. The new Swiss female Führer for the goddess Helvetica has a nest with another pink list killer female and two defenseless growing up humanoids in their nest. Whereas I, Sean Ross, hardly ever see my children anymore because of the terror of the Swiss beast. the whore of Babylon, with whom all nations traded, through her Swiss Nazi Templar banks. Last year, October 2019, the great Dr. Catherine Horton of Stop 007 had sent me proofs that I was under surveillance by tiny drones hidden in insects, which she discovered in this presentation video here on my cocaine import agency channel, explaining how the Swiss pulled the Wall Street crash robbery in America. Now don't laugh now, these things exist, and you can find footage about that on YouTube and in the internet. And Dr. Horton is an expert on little things, and even smaller than that, as she has a PhD, she's a doctor, from Oxford University in particle physics, which is one step further down the rabbit hole after quantum physics. So when Dr. Horton tells me it was a drone, then it was a drone, because Dr. Horton is an expert and an academic who goes by the facts only, just like me, therefore being a great fan of my videos too. She worked as a physicist for CERN Geneva, and she even lectured nuclear physics, being a professor at Oxford University. Exactly there where River Isis is part of the Thames for the goddess Themis or Themesis, La Thémise in French. Then her brilliant career came to an abrupt end when MI5 and others of Pharaoh's secret services against mankind started to harass, persecute and torment her. And now she has even disappeared, completely vanished. She was last seen in Zurich, Switzerland, where thousands of people have disappeared without a trace, as 10,000 asylum seekers hear my video, and I'm talking 2013, 7 years ago, with Swissy just saying, oh, they just disappeared themselves, and same Swissy techniques as back then in 1945 in the camps. So it was here in this presentation film in my channel here, where Dr. Horton from Oxford University and Swiss CERN, a woman experienced in tiny details for being a nuclear particle physicist, saw this here, right under our noses all the time, so small and hidden that only the trained eye of this remarkable woman, Dr. Horton, was able to detect. Thank you, Catherine. I hope you're all right.